What would you do if you weren't afraid? That is a good question to ask yourself whenever you're making a decision or you set a goal or you have a dream in your life. For example, me personally, it's recording this video. If I wasn't afraid, then I would record this and I would have no problems talking whatsoever in the video or even posting it online for people to see, for me to be perceived. So asking yourself what you would do if you didn't feel any fear is a good start towards accomplishing any dream, any goal, or anything that you really want to do in your life. Because eventually you're going to get to a certain point where you have to also ask yourself if fear is taking over your life. Fear of what other people think, fear of not being good enough, or fear of people leaving you, or fear of just not being able to make it, or even a fear of death. But the thing about death is that we're scared of it, but we don't know when it's going to come. So why don't we just live every day with that in mind? Whether we die tomorrow, we die a week from now, or we die a month from now, a year from now, 5 years, etc. Using fear as motivation isn't always the best. Take it from me, fear used to take over my life. I still feel scared, but fear isn't going to tackle itself. So thinking about fear for me is, for the longest time, I didn't drive and I didn't have my license because I was scared. I was also scared of that I couldn't trust myself and that I wouldn't be able to do it. I was just letting fear take that part of my life over, preventing me from driving. So I had to rely on a lot of people to take me places. And when I finally decided to confront that and get behind the wheel and get my license, bit by bit, the fear just kind of disappeared. There's still a certain level that remains of fear, but it's not a fear of a controlling fear. It's more of a survival fear, because that's what fear's original use is for when we survive, is so that we can avoid dangerous situations and we don't die or get hurt, get injured in a very drastic way. So for me, that fear wasn't just a fight or flight survival. It was a consuming fear, a fear that ate me up. And I still feel that fear a little bit, but nowadays it's getting better to deal with, because the best way to deal with fear is just believing in yourself. And by me recording this, it's saying that I believe in myself enough to maybe post this one day, or even just recording it, it's saying something to me, and it's saying that I'm not gonna let the fear take over. So if I wasn't afraid, I would start a YouTube channel about who knows what. Maybe I would start a small business. Maybe for you it looks different. Maybe fear is, for you, if you didn't feel any fear, you would leave a relationship, or you would finally stand up for yourself, or you would also launch that small business. So asking yourself what you would do if you weren't afraid is a really good start to taking action towards anything in life. Fear has many uses, but its primary use has always been biological. So don't let fear take over your life and let it control you, because one day you're gonna die and you don't want to look back wherever it is that you end up. and think, wow, like I could have done so many things, but I let fear take over. So I didn't do those things that I really wanted to do. Live a life that makes you feel proud and happy for yourself and not for others. Another big fear of mine that stemmed from school and also from how I grew up is the fear of failure. I was always really scared of failing, not just classes, but failing in life. Failing, not failing in life, failing at getting a good career, failing at accomplishing my dreams, failing at this video. And the thing is about failure is we have such a negative view on it, but I've read books that talk about reframing how we see failure. Failure isn't necessarily all bad, but for example, I read somewhere in a book that said failure is a stepping stone towards success. So if you hadn't taken that step and failed, maybe you wouldn't have encountered what did, or you wouldn't have figured out what did work and what made you succeed. Because we use failure and mistakes as ways to learn. And all those times I've failed have led me here. And also, I remember writing in my journal one time that failure isn't truly failure until you give up, or if it's something that you don't continue doing. Because I think maybe true failure doesn't exist unless you stop doing it. Because if you fail at learning a skill the first time, but then you do it again and again and you keep failing, and then eventually you get the hang of it, kind of like driving for me. In the beginning, I failed a lot. I failed my first driving test, and that failure hit me hard, and it was very difficult, even though it's something really small, or at least I think it's something small to me, as just passing a driving test. And I failed it, and I remember I was very emotional about it, and I think it's because it tied in with my fear of failure and what other people would think that I failed. And finally, when I passed it, I realized that failure helped to build my confidence. Like, because I failed, I'm able to now confidently say, like, I passed my second driving test and I'm able to drive a lot better. And the point of that story is just that failure isn't all bad. A fear of failure, I get it, but one way or another, people are either going to be disappointed, or not everyone will agree with you. But the one thing that you don't really want to fail is yourself. Like, what you want out of your life, and what do you want to do with it? What dreams do you have? Don't fail yourself by not listening to yourself. The question, what would you do if you didn't feel afraid or didn't feel fear, it wasn't something I came up with by myself. It was in a book. It's in a book about a parable about mice and little people. The book is called Who Moved My Cheese? And even though the title sounds very silly, the message in the book is very profound, very deep and meaningful, and you can apply it in your life. And I highly recommend the book. It's really good. It's really short and sweet, but it leaves a lasting image and message in your life. So another fear of mine was just the fear of not appearing perfect, because I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and I like the image being exactly how I want it. So when something doesn't really turn out my way, I just have this fear of, like, that it's not perfect. Even this video, I feel, is not the most perfect video anyone will probably ever see, that I will ever see. But I think that's what being human is about, is imperfection. So that fear, for me, is immediately countered by just seeing the humanness in everything, or the flaws that make up life. So don't be afraid to be imperfect and to be human. So yeah, I have a very beautiful day.